Wow, you are impressive at coming to attention. Thank you. My name is Amanda McMullen. I'm the president and CEO here at the New Bedford Whaling Museum. And, well, thank you, Dante. I was going to give you a round of applause for getting like the hottest ticket in town to Malassadas Day. Thank you. You're a full house here, and we have more than 200 people zooming in. So this is quite a draw, Dante. I'm just saying, just saying. So I'll give you a quick overview on our program tonight. We are going to kick it off with, of course, the heartwarming story of Malassadas Day, which is, I mean, it's going to pull on every heartstring that you have. You are going to feel the Portuguese love in this room and around the world on Zoom. It will create a love story narrative of not only food, but culture and heritage and tradition. So I'm very excited to experience it with you. So we'll enjoy the film first, then we'll have a panel conversation with our incredible guests, with the featured folks in the movie, Maria Lawton, round of applause. Michael Benevides, round of applause. And of course, the filmmaker, Dante Bellini, yes. But before we do get going, I've got to thank some key organizations, corporations, and friends who have made tonight possible. So just indulge me for a moment. I want to give a huge thank you to Bay Coast Bank, Ben Sood Hotels, Azorean Maritime Heritage Society. Give them all a round of applause. And an incredible thank you again to Michael and Portugalia Marketplace, who supported the reception. Thank you, Michael. To Celestina Alves, who made the Malassadas for tonight. Woo! We will celebrate you again for sure, but I will just share with you, it's 40 pounds of flour, how it was like 8 dozen eggs, and they have been going since 10 o'clock this morning, so you're in for a treat. I want to thank also Paulina and Henry Arruda with WJFD-FM and the Portuguese Times, our media sponsors, and trustee Paulina. Of course, we're joined by the consulate here of Portugal in New Bedford. Thank you, Tiago. Lovely having you here. Thank you also. We get wonderful support from the William M. Wood Foundation and the Department of Portuguese and Brazilian Studies of Brown University, with support from FLOD, as well as several individuals you'll see on the screen. So thank you all. You've made this possible. Thank you. And without further ado, sit back and enjoy Malassadas Day. What'd you think? Yeah! Bravo, bravo. We're going to bring our panelists up, but first I'm going to do a little introduction so you know a little bit more about each one of these talented folks. And ladies first, Maria Lawton. Yes, come on up. Maria Lawton is a renowned culinary expert, executive producer, and host of the award-winning PBS series Maria's Portuguese Table. Born in São Miguel, Azores, she immigrated to the United States at age 6, bringing with her a deep love for Portuguese culture and cuisine. Her groundbreaking series is the first, not one of the first, it is the first on United States television to highlight Portuguese heritage, earning her multiple Taste Awards, several Telly Awards, and 2 Emmy nominations. You're a rock star. Most recently, she was inducted amazingly into the Taste Awards Hall of Fame. Maria is also a best-selling author with 2 successful cookbooks, Azorean Cooking and At My Portuguese Table, and more in the works. Why am I not surprised? She remains dedicated to preserving and sharing the rich traditions of her heritage. At home, she enjoys time with her husband, Bob, and looks forward to passing on her culinary traditions to her grandchildren. Maria. Very nice. Have a seat. Yeah. I'm saving you for last there. Michael, you are next up. Michael Benevides is the vice president, yes, of Portugalia Marketplace and the founder of the amazing Fabric Contemporary Arts Festival. If you have not been to this, Michael, we're going to have to get you talking about that. People need to know. Also born in São Miguel, Azores, Michael immigrated to the United States with his family in 1979 at age 2. Seeking the American dream. Raised in Fall River, Massachusetts, he grew up in an immigrant community where Portuguese traditions and festivals were central to everyday life. Michael graduated from Johnson & Wales University with a degree in business management and began working full-time at the family business, Portugalia Marketplace. You need to go. Yeah. Michael did that after graduation in 1999. Michael married his wife, Sandrine, am I saying it correctly? Thank you, in 2001. And together they have 3 children. Through his leadership at Portugalia Marketplace and his commitment to the local Portuguese community, Michael has continued to honor his cultural roots and inspire others to do the same. Thank you, Michael. All right. And the creative engine behind this, Mr. Dante Bellini. Dante Bellini Jr. is a former principal of the RDW Group Agency with offices in Boston and Providence, a multiple Emmy, Telly, and Hatch Award winner. Dante has been the yes, that's good. Give Dante a round of applause. Dante has been the creative force behind hundreds of projects over his career. After retiring from agency life, he shifted his focus to documentary filmmaking, inspired by his longtime association with the filmmaker Ken Burns. His first solo feature, Ken Burns' Here and There, which offers an intimate look at the legendary filmmaker's life, was sold to PBS and broadcast worldwide. Dante's latest film, Demons and Dragons, is his 3rd project, and he is also currently working on a memoir-based film, Lillian, as well as several other independent films in development, including documentaries on Newton Minnow, South Korea's School for the Defectors, and the loss of Benny's stores. Welcome, Dante. Okay, so we are going to have questions from the crowd in a moment. That's water Dante's popping here. Drinks later. Actually, my first question is, do you now know the difference between whiskey and port?
I do. But they have it in a whiskey bottle. So it was logical that I would think that it was whiskey. Celestina fooled me.
I'm going to stand over here so I don't give you guys feedback. Okay, so that was my first question. But actually, Dante, I'm going to continue with you because as the filmmaker coming into this story and the community, I'm just curious if you could share with us, was there something that was a total surprise, or what was the aha moment, something you learned that you really didn't expect?
I think, first of all, Celestina Alves is right there, and I want to make sure that we recognize her. My executive producer, Holly Tent, is over there. I want to make sure. And Father Joe Escobar is there. I noticed that he's there as well. I wanted to do this because I can actually recall the moment where my wife and I, Patty is here as well, we would go to Father Joe's church, and I said, I want to see the process. And I said, one day I'm going to do a film about that. And I just never really truly appreciated the level of exertion, the amount of work that is necessary to do this authentically. Now, obviously, they have machines and stuff now, but you could see the effort that Celestina puts into this. And with every, in Italian, we call it the massa of the dough, but you know, just pounding the dough itself is like every pound is love in my mind. And so that was a surprise to me. And then the other surprise was obviously, aside from the seminal question of the film, which is, will these traditions and rituals continue as people phase out, to put it nicely, right? Is this pull that we have toward nostalgia, just that, nostalgia? Can we actually, you know, make what we love so much practical? And I'm not sure that the question is answered, but we do need a younger generation to embrace it. So the inherent conflict was, as Maria put out, that, you know, there are people that are willing to do it, but where are they? Right. And are they willing to embrace it, and you know, have they? So that was sort of my take on it.
That's a great one, and it kind of tees up what I was curious. I'm going to hop around, Maria. My next question was for you, but I'm just going to trail off of that for a second, because Michael, you touched on sort of traditions in Hawaii, Portuguese traditions in Hawaii. So I love history. Obviously, I wouldn't be in this job, and I love nostalgia and thinking behind and backwards and what came, like where did we all come from? What are our traditions? But I really loved what you talked about as sort of this opportunity for new invention and kind of what tomorrow brings. And I'm curious if you had any more thoughts on that, Michael.
Well, yeah, so in regards to food, I think food is one of the traditions that I think will remain, right? So we may lose a lot of traditions along the way, you know, typical things like the way we celebrate Festas, for example. I think over time, eventually, will phase out. But food is one of these things that I think has staying power, right? And I mentioned in the film Hawaii how they still, you know, generations later continue to make the Malassada, although it looks very different than ours. So I believe that, you know, we just have to be open to different versions of you know, what's coming next. You know, obviously the youth has a different spin on what the old people were doing. It's good to maintain those traditions, but I think we also need to be open to, you know, mixed sort of new versions of those traditions as well.
I love that. Have you been passing this down to your kids? Like, what do you do at home, Michael?
Well, it's so you know, I'm in a mixed marriage in the sense that my wife is not Portuguese; she's French. So my kids have a little bit of French and a little bit of Portuguese. So we're a fusion at home, which is good. I think it's great, and that's what's happening. You know, Maria's not married necessarily to a Portuguese man. As we intermix, you know, our sort of not interests, but the traditions change, and there's beauty in that as well.
Yeah, I think the evolution, there is beauty in that for sure. Maria, you always say to me every time we get together, you're like, food is love. Food is love. So tell us your love story here over Malassadas and the tradition and all the ingredients that make up this love story for you.
Oh my goodness, you're asking the person who loves food.
I know.
mean, and I love my heritage and I love my culture. So anytime we talk about anything having to do with our food, to me, it is a love story. You can't talk about food and be all in unless you really love it all about, you know. So when I was asked to, you know, Holly was asking me all kinds of questions about, you know, all of this, and I kept thinking to myself, well, okay, number one, what we're going to be discussing today is something like Dante said, it is in every nationality. You know, fried dough, you can have different names on it. I mean, someone was even calling it doughboy. You know, we've got all these different names, but a malassada is a malassada. To me, a malassada is a malassada. And a malassada is in parts of the Azores. It's also in, in Hawaii. It's in Madeira. It is, you know, wherever we had some sugar, some eggs, some flour, something, whatever, we would make this as a wonderful celebration type of thing before Lent, it wasn't every day, and it wasn't every weekend. It was only maybe 2 or maybe 3 times a year. You know, whereas now you can go to the bakery every weekend, every Portuguese bakery, and they're selling Malassadas. So for all of us here now, you go, okay, it's another Malassada kind of thing. Oh, well, I'll get it next weekend. Well, no, I grew up, it was 3 times a year. So when it was made, it was like so important. So one of the questions I asked was, because I didn't know who Dante was. And I'm like,
You regret that now.
Oh, be quiet. He's a troublemaker. So my first question was, because I get very territorial, and I am guilty of that. And it was like, why is Dante talking about Portuguese stuff? He's Italian. That was number one. That was number one.
Who's this Italian guy that wants to do our story?
Who is this Italian story? But it comes down to, we have to be talking about our stories.
Yeah.
We've got to bring it all forward. Because if we don't share, if we don't bring it all forward, and the importance of it all, and that's the key, it's the importance of preserving our culture, no matter what that culture is.
Yeah.
It's preserving who we are, and then you can fill in that blank of who you are. But it is truly a love story. When you talk about food, it goes hand in hand. It really does.
That. I love that.
I know that was a very long.
No, I love that. That's perfect. I think people understand what you're saying. Dante, when you are sort of like you're witness to this creation and story, and were you just in awe of the process? Were you blown away by it? Is there something in your Italian heritage that you connected to around it? Like what spoke to you about the process?
Well, it wasn't a complete surprise. It was the level of effort certainly was the most striking thing. But just I want to go back to something that Maria said. You know, everything old is new again. Everything new is old. It's you know, we're in one of those crazy cycles of human history, I guess. But it always amuses me that you go to Al Forno and they have polenta on the menu for $30. You know, it just it's a peasant dish. Am I right?
Yeah, so no knock on El Forno.
No, it's not a knock on El Forno. But it's, you know, we are, as I'm first generation, we're all connected to our histories, and we have these ancestral traditions and rituals. And, you know, if we lose them, no matter who we are, if we lose them, who are we and what do we have? You know, we can all go to a, you know, food truck and get a doughboy, but is that what Celestina's making? That's not what she's making. It's not really the doughboy. It's not really the food. It's really connecting with Father Joe's parish. It's really connecting to the community. And if we lose that, no matter if we're Armenian or Italian or whatever, right? It's just, it's gone, and it's gone forever.
Yeah, I mean, not only was there sort of the family component, the faith component, sort of building around the feasts and the events, but there was something sort of deeply social, right? Like this is a very social activity. That's the feeling that came through. Tell us more about that.
And what I love about both Maria and Michael, and Michael is a weirdo in a way. By the way, just a quick true story. I was trying to decide what to wear tonight. And I was going to wear that. And then I decided, Michael's probably going to wear something crazy, so I'll let him have his moment. But Michael is this unique conduit between the old and the new, right? And what he's trying to do is really cool and laudable because everyone that walks into Portugalia from Manhattan, right, they're trying to connect with what they saw in the New York Times, right? And even that's okay, because the fact that they came in and the fact that they see what he offers there and what he's trying to do, maybe they'll connect with who they are a little bit more. So it's what he does with the festival, it's what he does with the store, and it's what Maria does with her show. So we're all trying to do our little piece of this.
Yeah.
And I could have made this on the Armenian short egg or, you know, a Vietnamese something. You know, it doesn't matter. It happened to be the Malassada.
The connections there, yeah, yeah. So Michael and Maria, both of you, within your family dynamic, what is it that you care, what's important to you to make sure you carry forward in future generations? Through cooking, through food, what is it that speaks to you, whether it's Malassada or something else within Portuguese tradition and culture?
I keep messing this up, so I'm sorry here. Okay, it's good? Okay. I know it's one button. You are, it's just, but I keep turning it off and I don't have my glasses on, so I'm kind of blind. So, I'm sorry. For me, I mean, writing that book was for my children. When I wrote my first book, I did not write it for anybody else, but except for my children. Now it's with other people's children, but it was originally for my children because I want them to continue to hold on to who they are and where they come from, even though they're only half Portuguese. But that half overtakes the other half.
I'm stunned.
It's true. It's true. It's true. It's just a matter of fact.
Strong genes.
Oh, strong genes. And so, but
It's a bus that goes back your way.
So masa for me, sweetbread for me is like right up there. To me, making sweetbread is almost, how can I explain it? It is an experience for me that is, I feel my mom around me when I do it. I feel my grandmother around me when I do it. So, and I always, when I made it, when my girls were home and still around me, we did it like they saw me making it. They saw all of that. And to this day, it's like, Easter or Christmas, Mom, you're making masa, right? So it is, to me, that dish, that bake, that was like, for me, that's it more so than anything.
Yeah. I mean, I remember you talking about your first cookbook was really, you were building the recipes that you were trying to figure out how your mom made the meals she made.
Yes.
So talk about that a little bit more.
When I would recreate, masa was my hardest one. It took me 7 failures before I got it right, because the way that everyone they'd say, okay, work the dough, and then you'll feel it, and then you smell it, and you look at it, and it's done. And so I would like, okay, I don't understand that, because it would be when my mom would be doing it, it would be my mom holding down the bowl and my dad would be pounding out the dough, because she wouldn't make just like one bag. She would make enough masa to feed an army. And we would be the ones responsible for delivering it to all the family and all the friends and all of that stuff. So like every flat surface in the house had masa on it. So it was really important to me that I got it right. And so when it was like the 7th time, and all of a sudden, the dough felt right. It smelled right. And then it was like, and it feels right. And like all of a sudden, it was like, this is what they were talking about all this time. And then it came out like perfect. Hers was always like fluffy. It wasn't dense. It was like just like this beautiful, and you could have that smell. You could be outside and you could smell that masa was being baked there. It's that to me, of doing that and recreating all that. And then, because one day I'm not going to be here. We all have 2 things in common. We come in and we all leave. And so everything in between is different, but we have those 2 commonalities. And I needed to make sure that my girls never forget who they are, where they come from.
That's right.
So that is very important. And I say this all the time, and that is, I don't care what nationality you are, you need to write your family history. You need to write your family story. You need to put down your family recipes. because that is how it's going to continue into the next generation. We can't hold on to it. We can't. And just, there's always that one person in the family that brings that one cake, and that she only makes it. And anytime you'll say, oh, I'll do it for you. Give me the recipe. I'll make it. Because I know you're so busy and tired and all. I'll do it. Oh, no. I'll make it. It's because they don't want to share that recipe.
Yeah.
So they'll take it to the grave. They'll tell like one person in the family or whatever, but they won't share. And the key thing is if you don't share, it is going to die. It's a you're making it happen. And you can't. You have to share. Everyone has to share.
And I think that came through. Yours is the big question. Will it carry forward? That came through. Michael, for you, thinking through kind of your role in Portugalia, right? And kind of next generation carrying forward this connection to the Portuguese culinary and wine experience. Thank you for that, Michael. And cheese, if you haven't been there. So what is it that you see in terms of the important role around Portugalia and being able to provide that connection to the wider Portuguese world and the Azores?
So, I always say we're in the culture business, right, at Portugalia, because everything we do is through the lens of culture, right? So there's a lot of intentionality in what we do. So in terms of programming in the store, the music that we pipe into the store, it's all about promoting the culture, right? And we want to instill this pride in people who are coming into the market. There's a story I like to tell that, when we first opened up the market, this current version of the market, we had been in business for 20 plus years. And my father would be the sort of the Walmart greeter at the door, greeting all his old customers as they were walking into the new space and making sure that, they knew it wasn't his kid running wild. So he was there sort of just making sure, making peace and showing and giving everyone a tour of the space. And the customers walked in for the first time, and many got choked up. They were, in some ways felt a certain level of not responsibility, but they felt like they had contributed to this, so an immense sense of pride. And what happened within a day or two, they brought their kids and grandchildren. We started seeing that second, third generation coming into the market who we didn't have at the previous market. And that was, again, with a lot of intentionality. I can't say that, when I was building out the space, I wanted it, that's exactly what I wanted to happen. I wanted to reach the second, third generation. I was born in the Azores. My kids are American born. Yeah. But, we travel, we're fortunate enough to be able to travel, and we traveled to Portugal. And my kids have all been to Portugal, and they absolutely love the foods of Portugal. We've also been to France. We have to satisfy that side of the family.
You got to keep a happy house.
I think that they lean Portuguese, my kids, because there's so much Portugal in my life. I eat, sleep, breathe Portugal in everything I do. So I'm very passionate about the culture. I'm very passionate about promoting the culture. It's been sort of my life's work. That's what I want to do more than anything. And I'm always, so food is obviously a big piece of that. We sell food, we sell wine, but we sell experience. Yeah. Also, and not just that, we sell housewares. Portugal has a lot of beautiful, amazing sectors of goods, and we like to showcase them all. And I think that this is all culture. So that's my take on the cultural.
So and his mother makes biscuits that have ruined my life.
Oh, now we know. Do tell, Dante. What's happened?
Maria's biscuits, Avó's biscuits. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have to try them if you haven't tried them.
$6 a piece. I'm getting a theme on the Portuguese strength in the DNA, though. You've both said it's coming through strong for your kids. That's lovely. I love that. Absolutely. Yeah, strong Portuguese genes. Dante, what is your answer to your own question? What do you think? Will this tradition carry forward?
Well, as a filmmaker, and Dave Zapatka knows as well as I do, you don't answer the question. You put the question out there, and I'm not going to make a judgment on it. I think if people like Isabella can come forward, Celestina's granddaughter, and others, we're okay. But it's the age-old dilemma. times change. And, you know, we live in a very different society and people have very different demands on them than they had 10, 15, 20, 50 years ago. So how do we hold on to, and it's the same question in the Benny's documentary, to tell you the truth, that we're coming across. You want something, but you don't really want it because you don't support it, or you don't go there enough, or you don't have the time to make it. We're in this weird vortex of time right now where we say that we love things. We're driven by nostalgia, but it's just an ideal. So I don't know. I'm ambivalent about it. I'm not quite sure what the answer is.
Well, and I think what you're pointing at is it's what do we prioritize? What do you make a priority in your life?
Right.
Yeah.
But if we lose our attachment to who we are, I think that we're lost.
Oh yeah. I mean, then we're just a Amazon overnight delivery. There you go.
One final thing, when you go to Portugalia, and this was kind of a surprise to me, but it was also very nice. Upstairs are their offices, and right across from his dad's office is a chapel. And it doesn't matter if you're Catholic or Protestant or whatever you are, Jewish, you're welcome to go in that space and to just be quiet. And I think that's really wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we need, as someone running a museum, I think places of respite and reflection are needed now more than ever. So, right? Do we think? Yeah. Yeah. Beatrice, should we do some questions from the crowd? Who's got a question? Oh, perfectly placed. There we go.
Hi, this goes for Maria. I just want to thank you for including my mother's recipe for masa in your latest cookbook, Roses.
If raise your hand if you've got a question for any of our panelists. We've got a microphone that will run around. Oh, come on. No one wants the secret ingredients?
I actually have a question. If
Oh,
I may.
Beatrice does, yep.
So I grew up in the northern Portugal, and we call it filhós. So tell me the difference between a malassada and a filhós.
I make malassadas. I don't make filhos. I make malassadas. That is, if you want to learn how to make filhos, you're going to have to ask someone who makes filhos. I do not. I make malassadas.
Okay, wait a minute. You have to explain to me what's the difference. Tell me the difference here.
Well, you know, the whole thing is like I was saying before, there are some people who are, depending on what island, if you're from Terceira, if you're from Faial, if I think, or some Flores, they might call it filhos. Filhos.
Okay.
The rest call it malassadas. In Madeira, they call it malassadas. Other parts in the continent, they call it that. We have malassadas that are very flattened out dough. I also know I have two different types of doughs. One that you fry up flat, and I have another one that you fry up and it puffs up as a ball that you insert your filling in it or whatever the case may be. I'm sorry? The sonhos that would be, you know, filled with whatever or something like that. There are so many different variations depending on geographical spot of where your family is from. And so I have people sometimes sending me stuff going, that's not right. That's not a filho. That is, you know, whatever. Or don't call it that. It's not a malassada. It's a filho. No, it's not. I'm going to call it a malassada. So whether it's a malassada or a filho, some use orange zest in it. And some people use lemon zest in it. Some people don't use any different zests. Some people use shots of aguardente, which is because when you would make it in different times of the year, they would put a shot of brandy in the dough to feed the yeast because it was cold. So you would need to feed. Yeah. So you had people who did that. You have people who go, don't you put aguardente? Oh, no, we don't do that. So it is literally family to family, village to village, island to island, island to continent. It goes so many different ways. Hence the reason why you need to write down your family recipe.
There you go.
So,
Maria,
there.
that's so interesting. When I was in the Azores, every restaurant had a house dessert, and it was truly a house dessert. And everyone it might have been the same custard, but they had some different
Yes.
twist to it.
Yes.
And so is that over time the evolution of sort of village to village, house to house? Is it just, I'm going to make this a little bit more my own, I'm going to put my own spin on it, or am I kind of experimenting with ingredients? What's happening?
You're experimenting with ingredients. You cook with what's in season. So if you're in the orange season,
Okay.
you have extra oranges. So you're going to make a nice pudding. We don't call it flan. That is Spanish. We call it pudding. And our pudding, it will have infused oranges in it. So that's in the orange time. Then you have leftover, whatever, bread, even bread.
Yeah.
We make everything out of bread. You have leftover bread. They pulverize that. They make a pudding of leftover bread because you never throw anything away. There are other people who use the pineapple pudding, the caramel pudding. I mean, it goes on and on. Passion fruit pudding is out of this world. So again, it depends the time of the season. It depends on what they have left over in the kitchen. And I love cooking like that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love cooking. The way I love to cook is I love to cook in season.
Farm to table,
Yes.
Yeah, that's, very, very interesting. Oh, another question, Carl.
I don't know if it's a question, but it's sharing. Good to see you, my brother over there, yes. You know, in the Cape Verde Islands, while we celebrate because we have some of the similar backgrounds as Portuguese, Malassadas, we have one that we call gufum, which is made with cornmeal, and it's like a donut. It's heavy. It would look like a hot dog, but it's deep fried. It's made with cornmeal. Some make it with squash, baba, as we call it, and some would use banana. But it's heavy. Unfortunately, it's heavy, but it's really good.
I mean, unfortunate, that sounds fantastic.
You had me at deep fried.
Right. But the greatest things of what we're sharing tonight is the traditions are very important. And all too often now, we only remember these traditions when somebody dies. And so you get these things made because it might be an old aunt left or somebody says, I remember when I came to the repast, we had this. We used to, in the Cape Verdean community, I don't know why, they would always have cheese and crackers. That was the first thing they gave it. I'm sure that's an American thing because I don't remember having Munster cheese. And it had to be Munster cheese. Munster cheese and pilot crackers. And I think that's because we were close to some Jewish communities, so they have those, so you integrate those things. But those traditions are important. And I know with my nieces and nephews, the only time they seem to worry about is if the festival's here, then they want all of that. And then after the festival's over, well, forget it. So we've got to find ways in which we can keep these stories alive because it's like making that quilt. I was watching this movie tonight, and just watching all those women together reminded me of doing a quilt.
That's lovely, Carl. Thank you. Yeah, that's lovely. Another question. Our own Bob Rocha.
Dante, following up on a question that Amanda asked earlier, is there an Italian version of Malassada?
I guess there kind of is, but not really.
The French, the beignets, the
Yeah,
French.
the
but
French have the beignet,
Yeah.
but the Italians really don't. It's what? Zeppola. But,
Zeppola? Oh, Zeppola, okay.
Eh.
St.
It's not
Joseph's
like,
Day.
let me tell you, when you've had Celestina's Malassada, you've had a Malassada.
Nice. Oh, another.
But I am, to more specifically answer your question, I don't think so. But maybe we can invent one.
Ooh. What?
Wandi, no, Wandi isn't really, not like a Malassada. No. Yeah.
Question right up there.
So I grew up here in New Bedford in a tenement with my grandparents, small little galley kitchen. My grandmother would say, the bigger the kitchen doesn't make the better the cook, right? So, and she used to always say food and family. Those were her two favorite things in the whole world. So when I hear you say food and love, it's because it's food and family. That's what my grandmother would say. But I'm curious for you, Maria, in your kitchen, do you have a favorite thing that you cannot just, you have to cook? It's your favorite tool, your favorite appliance, your favorite kitchen item that you just have to have?
Is that like asking you to pick your favorite child? What is that? That's almost impossible.
You're absolutely right. It is like saying, who is your favorite child? At this moment, no. No. Oh my goodness, there's so many. There's so many things I have to have.
Bob, what has to get washed all the time?
I love my cast iron skillets. I love to cook with my cast iron. I even love to bake bread on cast iron. For whatever reason, it gives that nice crust, especially if you add some of the cornmeal at the bottom of it. It becomes nice and crispy at the bottom. I love that. I don't know what I would do without it. I love, this is not, a hand immersion blender. I cannot, because my soups, I cream my soups. And for creaming soup, and you don't want to add cream in it, you blend your vegetables. And when you do blend them in the right way, you can add a little cream on top or a little bit of olive oil on top. But by doing that, no one's going to tell you that you made it without cream because it becomes that creamy. So they're not that expensive. I think they're like, the cheapest you can get is like $30. Get one. It makes a big difference. Oh my goodness, the hand immersion blender. I love my KitchenAid. I love my KitchenAid. Just the other day, I had to make something, and I was doing something else, and I had the KitchenAid going while it was doing something else while I was making something else. So I love that, and I have 2 KitchenAids because I never know what I'm going to do with it.
So fancy.
I know, I
You're
am.
so fancy.
I am. But yeah, no, my cast iron, my immersion, those are the 2. And then for ingredient, Portuguese olive oil. Ooh.
Purchased at Portugalia, right? So I don't know
Yes.
about you, but I am craving Malassadas right
Oh,
now. And we are right at that time.
We are at
Closing remarks?
time. All right. Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you. And Celestina, we have Malassadas right through those doors. Thank you.